RAWR. So today's RAWR is going to be about something that most modern day people will probably have no clue what I am saying. Wonderful awesomeness of series named King's Quest. King's Quest was by Sierra, and Sierra, made such things as Arcanum, which I'm sure it'll do one of these about that, and Quest for Glory, which I'm sure I will do something about that, and, other such wonderful things. Sierra made awesome games back in the day. They originally ran on DOS and stuff, and they were the games where you had to type and tell your character to do something in the beginning, and then King's Quest V came out, and you could actually click and your guy would go where you were saying, or you could put your highlighter, your mouse would highlight whenever it went on an object, and it was just this huge phenomenal transformation of gaming. It was such a huge big thing. It was like going from 2D to 3D graphics. Now instead of typing put second box on third box, you could now just click the box that you want and then click where it was to go, and it would go. Amazing, absolutely amazing. King's Quest V, the King's Quest games always had really good storyline, and they had riddles and puzzles and things for you to solve, while at the same time you were helping this person do something. King's Quest V, revolutionary, good, awesome game in my opinion, but my favorite King's Quest games were by far 6 and 7. 8 honestly was nothing to me. They added some actual combat in 8, and to me it like killed it. I don't know, 8 was like nothingness. It also went to 3D graphics in King's Quest 8. The 3D graphics wasn't that bad, but the combat was kind of like, this goes against everything King's Quest is. This might as well be Quest for Glory, but worse. It didn't work. But King's Quest 6 was awesome. You went around as the prince. The riddles in it were great. The characters in it were involved. King's Quest would take things from classic fairy tales, and classic stories and mythology and all that, and it would work it in a way that became awesome. Also, you had multiple paths. So, for instance, when you first get to this place, you're like, oh, hey, there's this girl working in a garden. You can't talk to her yet. You go on your merry way, continue on further, and you come back, and oh, hey, the girl's by the edge of the fence. Hey, I'm talking to you. Hi. She's working with the roses. Well, turns out it's basically a beautiful girl, Belle, and she's tortured and she doesn't want to work there anymore. Well, turns out you can help her meet this beast, and once you help the beast to find love with her, he returns to being a prince. She gives you her old work clothes. Now, you can do a couple of things with these old work clothes. You can use them to put out a fire later when some people are going to cook you and eat you, or you could later wear them and pretend you're a maid and sneak into a castle. The entire point is you're trying to save this princess that, you're totally in love with and everything. There are such cool things, like there's wallflowers, and the wallflowers are actually real, and you interact with them. It was almost like playing a Piers Anthony book, but as a game. That's what King's Quest was like. Everything was real. Like iceberg lettuce really was made out of ice, and it would melt after a while. Everything was like that. And you had to sort out all the ways that all these different sorts of things could interact with each other. The iceberg lettuce, if you could get it fast enough to a certain boiling pool, you could throw it in and you could actually wade across the pool. There were different things like that. There's a bookworm, and you have to finish his sentence. And the only way you know how to finish the sentence is to go to the library and read the books. And then you find one that says, where are you going to? And his question is, where are you going? Seems like a valid question, but it is grammatically incorrect to say, where are you going? It is correct to say, where are you going to? I learned that from King's Quest. Anyways, it goes on and on and on. There's so many clever things like that in it. King's Quest 7 and King's Quest 6, I probably played and beat like 50 billion times. King's Quest 7 was my favorite. It was not everyone's favorite. Most people were more into King's Quest 5 and 6 back in the day. Back in the day. But King's Quest 7 was my personal favorite. You got to play as 2 people instead of as 1, and you alternated. So there was a part of it you would play as the princess, and as part of the time you'd play as the queen. You'd play as her mother, and her mother was trying to find her and rescue her, and the princess was trying to do all this other stuff, and then it ends up becoming this grand glorious thing where you end up with all of the Greek gods and you're actually trying to save the whole world, you know. And it turns out that there was a goblin king who got overtaken and everything, and his mind was corrupted and all this kind of stuff. It was good. I had a crush on one of the characters, for one thing, but also I liked the music in it, and it was very bright and colorful and everything, and the puzzles in it and things were a little, like, you didn't have to think so far out of the box to figure them out, but they were still interesting. They were still complicated, you know, enough to keep your brain teased. But, like, you would have to listen in on an evil witch lady and hear her say that she hates rats. Later on, you help this other person, and you go through this whole chain, and you get a toy rat as a reward. And then you have to think to yourself, well, wait, that witch lady hated rats. I'm going to send my toy rat in there. And then, you know, there was also, the characters in it were really fun. There was this Halloween world where there were these little kids, and they were such brats. And all you did the whole time was, you know, at one point, you avoid getting eaten by all of their prankster stuff. They loved pranks. And at another point, you know, there was a guy who died, and you helped his hound, and then his hound dog loved you. And that was cute and sweet. And his hound was such a big, mean, scary dog until you save it, and then you find out it's actually a really nice doggy. There was, you know, this world where it was cartoony, and, you know, one of the most important items you could get was the rubber chicken. And, you know, a lump of cheese fell into a pool, and you had to actually shoot the cheese into the sky and put the moon back in place, because they decided that you had destroyed the world by taking the moon down. There was a desert area with a jackalope who was pretty funny. I liked the characters a lot. The characters had their own voice acting and stuff. In King's Quest 6 was the first time that there was like major voice acting and stuff on all of it and stuff, but it was more they did like this video clip, and for the most part there was no talking or interaction. In King's Quest 7 there was like talking and interaction with all of the characters. Instead of you just reading stuff or, you know, them making some sounds, you could actually talk in them and stuff. So it was really, really cool. It was, King's Quest to me made huge advancements in gaming overall that helped all gaming go forward. Like PC gaming. To me, King's Quest was the foundational for all of gaming, and it lost, unfortunately, out to the games that came after it, but it was the one that started the movement, in my opinion, as far as progressing further and further along with better and better stuff. In all honesty, you know, King's Quest to me is what BlackBerry was to smartphones. BlackBerry is going the way of Palm, and it's not going to probably make it, just like King's Quest, as a well-played, you know, nowadays thing. But at the same time, most of what smartphones do now came from BlackBerry. Most of what games can do now came from King's Quest. Whether most people know that or not, whether most people even, you know, played it or tried King's Quest, PC gaming, in my opinion, was so at the groundwork, and everything was built up by King's Quest. There's not much bad to say about King's Quest, except RAWR. I wish so much that they would make another one, but not like King's Quest 8. Make another one make a King's Quest that, like, goes back to all of the old puzzles and complications, and you have to think about what each thing is and what it does and what it correlates to. you know, you have to actually use your brain. So many games anymore feel like you have to use your brain. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. You know, good graphics make it easy to make up for the fact that you don't have to use your brain. You know, people don't need to use their imagination. If there's good graphics, you can just have the game do everything for them. I mean, some people like that, but what did you learn, really? I mean, when I was playing King's Quest when I was 10 years old, you know, I still remember things I learned from that. So, you know, again, yeah, the graphics were, but King's Quest, just awesomeness. If you really want to, you can start with King's Quest 1. The games are really, really hard to do, though. Starting with King's Quest 1, the graphics are kind of complicated. The games feel kind of short that early as well, because so much went into being able to do stuff that, you know, it feels a lot shorter than a lot of games are now. You won't spend 200 hours on a King's Quest game, but you will still spend a decent amount of time on it. Just if you ever want to try an old classic that was worth trying, just if for no other reason, just to say thank you for being the grandfather of the games that I play now, then go play King's Quest. King's Quest 6, King's Quest 7, those are the best ones.